Hi, Dan. Lionel here. Hey, thanks a lot for taking a few moments to be able to talk a little bit about our working together. How are you today?
I'm doing great.
Right on. Great. Well, for the few people, at least in the Winnipeg area, that aren't familiar with you and your company, could you tell us a little bit about who you are and the company that you run?
Sure, you got it. My name's Dan Precourt. I'm the owner of Color Scheme Professional Painters. We've been in business for 31 years, painting homes and offices, and more recently had a little bit more of a focus on kitchen cabinet spraying.
Okay, very good. All right. Well, thanks a lot for sharing that. I know when we had first met, actually, it was at a Sandler training event. Yeah, I was well familiar with your company. We hadn't met though, but I knew the company, of course. Again, a longstanding Winnipeg-based company here. So what we're going to do here, Dan, for the next couple of minutes, if it's okay, is just talk a little bit about the work that we've done together. But I'd like to start off even before our project got started. When you were looking at, sales and marketing related activities with your business, before we started working together, what types of challenges were you having, or were there the big problems that you were thinking about in the business, and looking into the future? Like what types of things were you thinking about that even created the opportunity for us to have this discussion?
Sure, happy to answer that and explain kind of our thought process. I think most businesses, no matter how good they are at, let's say, social media or online presence, Google, all the multitude, and of course there's even everyday new avenues that you could
Mm-hmm.
pursue. People talk about TikTok, and whether or not that's a good avenue for your business. And of course, as a business owner, you wonder, well, do I need to be there? How might that affect my business? And of course, I had all these questions. I didn't have any answers.
Mm-hmm.
And it's, if not costly from a money point of view, from a time point of view, to learn yourself how to explore these options. And then how do you measure the results? And are the results you get even accurate if you don't
Mm-hmm.
really know what you're doing? I
Right.
mean, so that's just one example, and I struggled with this for years, not knowing whether or not the work that we were doing online, whether it was Facebook or whether it was Google, those are probably our two primaries, whether we
Mm-hmm.
were hitting the mark, and if what I expected from these different sources was reasonable. Um, because we had no expertise, and I wasn't sure if the people I was asking to help me, if they were truly qualified
Mm-hmm.
either. Um, so we primarily, rested our marketing efforts on traditional media. So, obviously our website and postcards direct to homeowners and businesses, and a little bit of print advertising. Years ago, we did a little bit of radio, but seen so many examples recently and in the past of people who've generated business from online avenues
Mm-hmm.
and have been able to measure it and have been able to target it and have been able to generate real predictable sales and opportunities for
Mm-hmm.
sales. I just didn't know how to do it, and
Right.
no matter how much I read, no matter how much I really felt like I was on my own.
Mm.
So, that's what it really inspired me to look at other options, maybe
Okay.
a partner that could help
Yeah.
me.
Yeah. No, that's great. So thanks for sharing. And what I thought was quite interesting when we started getting to know each other and working together is, and I've shared this with you on many, many times, but your knowledge of your own business and the systems you already have in place are, far ahead of a lot of the companies that we would come across in terms of people reaching out to us, looking for help with generating leads and or managing a CRM, those sorts of things, and just to speak really quickly, you know exactly, who your customer is that you wanted to go after, what areas of the city you wanted to go after them with, and for which service, you had your own homegrown CRM in place, and you actually had data on how many people came from, postcards and things like that. And maybe you don't see that every day because you're again running your own business, but that is not super common. So again, definitely, you're well ahead of most in those respects. And also, if I hear what you're saying, is that is a challenge. There is no lack of information out there, right? And you talk to one person and they may say, oh, we're doing this and it's working great. And then, you're like, well, should I be doing that? And we find that is a pretty common struggle as well, as people just don't know what questions to ask, how to determine if something is actually successful or not, and what should they do and what should they just consider as noise. And maybe it's a good opportunity, but we just don't have the bandwidth, to focus on that. Right. So. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So when we first, again, started to get to know each other and decided to get started, it was actually a very quick turnaround. It was, right in between Christmas and New Year's, and both of our businesses were mostly shut down, but we jumped into action to be able to get things going. What were your expectations in that early stage, when we started talking about some things that could be done about creating content and, maybe looking at the CRM and increasing, communication? Were there certain things looking back that you were really excited about, or you hoped would work, but you really weren't sure if they would or not?
Yeah, we were really excited about this kitchen cabinet spring that we do. It's really become something that people have gotten really excited about as well. Our staff are excited about it. We're excited about it here in the office, and the people we do the work for typically are excited to get it done, and they're thrilled when it's finished. But we want to get it out to more people, and I just didn't think that what we were doing marketing wise was really getting the message across. So I was definitely looking to access perhaps I don't know if a broader audience is the right word, but certainly a targeted approach. And it felt like the type of service there that we were offering was the kind of thing people are seeing on TV and they're seeing in the media, these kind of renovations and upgrades, and that there just had to be another way. And that's what, I don't know, all of a sudden Lionel from Farmers Marketing, he popped into my head because we had this meeting, and I thought, hey, maybe this is my opportunity to find out what you guys do and how maybe you could help me, and that's really what inspired me to make the call.
Okay, right on. So looking at that period, we obviously had a lot of projects underway, but what are this, if you were to summarize, what would be some of the core projects or direction that we took in those early days? Whether it was promoting the home show or creating content, or any things, like if you were describing it to someone else, what are the more memorable projects, I guess, that you talk about that maybe we did or did differently?
There was a lot at first. I'm glad it was our slower time of the year because there was a lot of things that we needed to do to get things into place, and a lot of that fell on my plate because I had some of the knowledge that we needed here in order to get that going. But you helped us to get going with HubSpot, which I had no idea how you could connect your website and your Facebook page to your contacts and just make sure that those folks were getting the information that was relevant to them. And the videos, we must have done 20 videos, and I've never been on camera before really, and that was a bit nerve-wracking, but it was also a lot of fun. So it created a whole bunch of things for our clients that the answers to the questions that they might have, and or even if they were early in their journey to understanding what we did, they could possibly, if with greater understanding, maybe help them to want to reach out to us and maybe turn into an opportunity that we would never have seen. I'm just trying to think of, we made significant changes to our website. All of them were really easy little changes that you coached us on. And in fact, our web provider implemented, many of those things. But again, the web company that I was dealing with, they're very, very skilled, and they offer, uh, let's say they offer a similar type of service that, but I was never given that guidance. I was never
Mm,
given that opportunity to implement those things. And they seem now, looking back, like things that naturally we should have had.
mhm.
Um, so,
Yeah, no, that's
yeah, go ahead.
so I was just gonna say that's a good point, and what is a challenge for small business owners is, especially dealing with marketers like our company or others, is even though you could have three marketing companies, they could all look the same from the outside, but they often have very different skill sets and they look at something differently, right? So speaking of a website, for example, we would look at the website through the eyes of a customer, and how easy is it for that customer to have something that resonates with them. It's not talking about how great the company is and why you should buy from them. It's like, is it speaking about the customer? Is it clear what they're supposed to do? Is it easy for them? Those like that. That's what we would really care about. A web developer or a programmer, they would be more concerned about the actual programming of a website, potentially the website security, things like that. And
Right.
then typical website and branding companies, what they care about is it does the website look beautiful. But you can have a beautiful looking website that's terrible at generating leads, right? So that is really a challenge. And it's not like, again, these other companies can't make changes, but they need often they need someone to direct what needs to get done, right? And we've worked with companies before, really good website companies, and they build a website and it was really slow because it was beautiful. And then we're like, well, how come this is so slow? It's a brand new, like, modern website. And their answer is, well, you didn't ask for a fast website. Well, we just assume that it's going to be fast, right? But so again, the reason I'm saying that is a challenge for a small business owner, because again, they don't have enough knowledge about all these different elements of marketing and sales to say clearly this is a gap, we need to fix it. Some of those things they may see, but they may not know exactly what to do to direct the people that are there to help them. Sometimes those people take initiative and point them out for you, and sometimes they're more like order takers, I guess, right? And again, all of us have our different strengths, but it can be a challenge, for someone looking at a marketing company from the outside, because we may all look the same, right? Anyway.
I've
Yeah,
definitely
yeah,
seen how you guys are able to fill in the gaps, and
hmm,
those gaps were not obvious to me
yeah,
prior to our relationship. But
hmm,
once you explained to me what you were doing, and then how you were, let's say, connecting the different, social platforms, or the website, or the
hmm,
CRM, the HubSpot, it just all seemed to be quite natural. And yeah, obviously wondered why we hadn't done that before.
hmm. Yeah. That's common in hindsight, of course, right? It's even I know we've joked, as you've done a bunch of videos at our house, and joked about you documenting all the deficiencies in our house. But it's the same thing, right? When you come, you can see, oh, here's a window. This is the how to fix it, or you got to do this, got to do that. Like, it's very easy for you because you're an expert at that, right? But none of us leading business, we can't be experts at every single element of our business, of course, right?
Fair enough.
Yeah. So, looking at all of the different things that we did, and I would encourage anyone that's watching this to check out your YouTube channel and see all the content in there. But if I were to ask you, if this has worked so far, what would you say, or whatever you're comfortable in sharing? What are some of the results you've seen so far?
Sure. No, I mean, we've obviously extended our working relationship because we've seen results
Mm-hmm.
from the efforts that been invested so far. Uh, you know, First of all, we're able, I believe, to qualify customers better, and
Mm-hmm.
that's better for us. It's also better for customers
Yeah.
because, truthfully, if we're not the right fit for them, we'd be wasting their time too if, we were taking them down a path that just wasn't going to result in a benefit for either of us.
Mm-hmm.
We've also been able to transfer, or we've realized more estimates from online sources, from previous customers, and
Hmm.
from referrals from previous customers, due in large part to our communication with our existing customers.
Hmm.
So where we were lacking in a relevant presence, even 6 months ago, we've had comments from people, saying, "Hey, I hadn't seen you in 10 years, but
Hmm.
I got one of your, emails, or your, saw one of your posts, and it made me think of you to call you,
Yeah.
for a quote."
Hmm.
I would have hoped that person would call us otherwise, but it might be
Yeah.
foolish to assume they would. They might even have forgotten our name. I don't know.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, we've At the end of March, I think I mentioned to you that we were about 20 quotes short of what we had done the year before. And this is
Hmm.
still early in our working relationship.
Yeah.
And just last week, we recognized that we were 22 quotes ahead of last year. And we'd also done one less traditional mailer. So where we're generating business from mailers significantly in the past, it appears that we're able to replace some of that call volume, with the work that we've done,
Hmm.
through the investment of the online work that you guys have done for us,
Hmm.
both for new business and for our existing business. So
Hmm.
it feels like we're headed in the right direction.
Yeah. No, that's really exciting, and a business like yours, you have in a lot of cases a long sales cycle as well, right? So, there's likely deals you're closing now that happened many months ago, but then still all the leads coming in now, you still have many months ahead to be able to close them as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah. So, I guess a follow-up question to that is, what is life like right now for you? Knowing that you have some new processes in place, and again, as I mentioned earlier, even you had a newsletter in the past, and all these great things. So you weren't doing badly by any stretch. You had a lot of things again great in place, but now have some new processes and some people and content in place. How are things different for you right now? Are you thinking about your business any differently than maybe you would have in the past?
Great question. We have a lot of assets that we can share with clients, and I just feel like it's empowering me and our office. When I say my office or our office, if somebody's looking for more information to help them understand what we can do for them, we have some tools that we can share that we didn't have before.
Hmm.
And seeing is believing. So when we can share a video or a blog post, something that we didn't have before, that helps people educate themselves so that they can make an informed decision, it makes our life easier.
Hmm.
Uh, and my hope is that with a little bit more time behind us, that we can also better predict, based on our activities, how many calls we're going to get, how
Right.
many sales we're going to get from those calls.
Hmm. Yeah. Well, that's really interesting, and I think if I'm putting my own slant on what you just said, in a lot of businesses, a big challenge they have is people, right, and their resources. So it's always a challenge trying to grow, because if you all of a sudden double the amount of business you have, but you don't have the people to staff that, you're now failing people. So I think the way I'm looking at what you just said is that hopefully it's given you that confidence that if you do need to ramp something up, there's some processes in place to do that, to like increase the lead revenue. But also, if you are, say, fully booked up on exterior painting for the summer and it's earlier in the year, that you can dial that back and save some resources. So again, I'm not trying to put words in your mouth, but that's sort of what I think what my interpretation of what you're saying about having that confidence in the ability to ramp up and ramp down activity.
Yeah, I totally agree
Yeah,
with that,
yeah,
Lionel. I think
yeah.
that definitely, I actually hadn't exactly thought of it that way, but you're absolutely right. I mean, the tribal knowledge that people have, is wonderful, but it also is a bit of a detriment if you can't extract that. And so
Hmm.
having these assets, as a part of our system and as a part of our process and procedure,
Hmm.
allows somebody with less experience to, function more like somebody who's been with us a lot longer. So I
Hmm.
guess, yeah, absolutely. Like you said, if we had to bring somebody on board, it would be much easier and probably quicker to integrate them.
Yeah. Okay. Right on. So, looking back at the our time together, so right now we're in June, and we started working, late December
Mhm.
of 2022. Is there anything that jumps out in terms of like really memorable things, or funny things, or unexpected, results or opportunities? Anything jump out at you that sort of sticks out?
Sure. I the videos are fun. They're nerve-wracking. I've got a lot of comments on them. The best comment I got recently, I walked in a guy's door to do an estimate, and the very first thing he said to me, he's like, "You're the guy from YouTube." And I thought,
Yeah.
"Oh, I kind of forgot I'm on YouTube."
Right. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
but he'd actually been searching YouTube for stuff, and I just came up in his feed, and that's actually what instigated him calling us. I'm not sure that they even considered spraying their cabinets before that,
Yeah.
but he had done the research based on that. Anyways, that was fun.
Yeah.
um that kind of feedback is great.
Yeah.
Totally unexpected.
Yeah. Well, that's great. Yeah, you're gonna have people stopping you at the farmers market. Hey, aren't you that guy? Yeah, 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 yeah. Or you're at Home Depot or something like that. That's funny. Well, that's really cool, and that is really the neat thing with that type of advertising channel. And really think about, both of us are running businesses. One of the benefits of running a business is that you're making money consistently, right? Not just say when you're open or physically doing the work. So the neat thing with a YouTube or videos on Facebook is, yeah, it could be 2 in the morning, and we've seen that with quotes coming in, yeah, 2:30 in the morning, estimate quotes, and it's crazy that people do that, but
Yeah.
clearly that's when they're making these decisions, some of them, right? So, well, that's great. Well, thanks a lot for sharing that. It's a pretty a neat story there. If you were to speak to someone that was considering doing something similar to what you've done, and it doesn't necessarily have to be with us, but or if they were working with us, what sort of advice or recommendations would you have for those people?
Well, first of all, I would highly recommend that they speak to you, Lionel, and your team, Farmers Marketing.
Okay,
The
thank you.
I I do feel like we've had a very personal, um, relationship with your entire team, and you guys have spent the time to figure out our clients, our company, how we operate. And it would be
Mm.
hard for me to recommend that they try and do what we did on their own,
Mm.
because I really don't think that they could accomplish what we've accomplished, without at least having the foundation that you guys have already created.
Mhm.
Um, the business people that I talk to, and I talk to plenty,
Mhm.
they're all as ignorant as I am about social media. And I don't think any of us are ignorant in general. It's just,
Right.
it's too hard to know all of this stuff. So, uh, you know, you guys facilitate so many of the little things that make a big difference.
Mm.
And the little things that make a big difference aren't on our radar. And it's not something that, my admin person, our general manager, myself, or one of my people in the field, has any concept of. So hey, you know what? They just need to, um, you know, give you a call, have a conversation, understand what you guys do, and guarantee you they won't understand, half of what you're proposing, unfortunately,
Yeah.
because it's not stuff that we do every day. But as it's a cumulative effect. And as time goes on, that's when you really start to realize the benefit and
Mm.
maybe understand some of the things that you might have said to me on day one that
Mm.
I went, oh, yeah, that sounds really good.
Mm.
And thought I understood, or maybe just went along with it because it sounded good.
Yeah. Yeah.
But we've realized it 4, 5, 6 months later. And if I understand, social media and our online presence, I do know that it takes time. It's not
Yeah.
something that happens overnight. So
Mm.
I wholeheartedly encourage people to reach out to you guys and at least have that first conversation, and they'll understand completely. I think what type of benefit there is to them, and then they just have to be prepared to make the leap.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you very much for sharing your comments on working with myself and my team. That's great. And I would like to recognize you as well. You've been a great client and company to be able to work with, and that can be a challenge, right? When there's a third party externally working. But yeah, you and your team have always been very responsive, pleasant to be able to work with, and has really been an enjoyable working relationship so far. So yeah, appreciate the opportunity to work with you, and appreciate you sharing your thoughts on our team.
Thanks, Simon.
Just to to wrap up, is there anything else that you'd like to add, or anything that you can think that you'd like to share that maybe hasn't come up yet?
The one thing that I would warn people against is that we started off talking about kitchen cabinets, but
Mm-hmm.
we do interior painting and exterior painting too. And as the exterior painting season rolled around, what we had done for kitchen cabinets, I really wanted to do for other parts of our business.
Mm-hmm.
So, if there wasn't a benefit that had been realized early on, we wouldn't want to or be prepared to do that. So I
Mm-hmm.
think that's just another testament to the effectiveness of what's been done so far,
Huh.
and kind of what's made us all here excited about how, what might become of, our online efforts in the future, and
Mm-hmm.
all of these video and blog and other assets that we've created that our
Mm-hmm.
customers are really appreciating. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's addictive.
All
And
right.
we wouldn't do it if it wasn't paying off financially as well.
Of
Uh,
course.
you know,
Yeah.
we don't have an endless budget. We're just a small company. So,
Yeah.
it
No,
has to benefit all aspects of the business.
definitely. No, that's a great observation, and thanks for sharing that. So just to wrap things up, I would say for anyone that may be seeing this, if you are in the Winnipeg area, I highly recommend check out Color Scheme on YouTube and on their website, and with their all the great products they or services that they offer. I will say we are a satisfied customer as well, Dan. Right? We just did a beautiful
Yeah.
transformation on one of our duplex properties that really looked rough. It was really rough, and it looks beautiful now, and proud to be an owner of it, and show new tenants in the future. So thanks for that, and I know we have lots of other painting projects planned for our properties as well.
All right, well,
But
thanks for
once
letting
again,
us.
yeah,
But,
yeah. So thanks again for again the opportunity to be able to work with your company, and to be able to take us on as a customer. It's been a great mutually beneficial relationship for the two of us, and both of our teams. So I definitely want to thank you for that.
sounds great. Thanks, Lionel. I appreciate everything you've done with us as well.